Good afternoon and good evening. We should be live, and everyone is welcome to participate. If you would like to participate, there is a link in the description. And today we're going to be talking about some very, very challenging issues that I'm sure a lot of you have experience with. And so feel free to join us. For now, I'm going to put on our Hello again, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world, where you're joining us from. Um, I am so delighted to have you all here. And if you're watching on the replay, please put in the chat where you're from when you're watching it. That would be great. If you have any questions throughout the show, happy to answer those for you. Or help you find the answers yourself, which is what I prefer doing. Today's show is talking about a lot of challenges that people have, especially with situations like custody and visitation and disagreements. Maybe relatives don't approve of what you're doing, and they will sometimes make life very difficult or challenging. Um, and a lot of people don't understand it or think they do. And people have different opinions and different definitions of what homeschooling is. So I think my first advice is to stay calm. That's really difficult when you're feeling attacked, when you're feeling like people are judging you. It is very challenging to take that deep breath and understand that they can't read your mind. They can't know what your experiences are. They're not you, and they don't have the relationship with your children that you may have. Doesn't mean they don't love you, care about you, love the kids, care about the kids. They don't necessarily know how to interpret what it is that you're doing. Now, if you're in a marital relationship that is either breaking down or has broken down, and you're in a situation of being separated or divorced or custody battles, that can get really hard. um, and there's some very important points of view that you can things that you can do to make it easier on yourself and to help those people that are worried and concerned. So, one of the first things that I ask people to think about is the motivation of the person who is causing the issue. What is their motivation? So, you can have um, grandparents who have been conditioned to to believe that school is the best way and the only way for kids to get ahead, get into high school, get into college, get a good job. We even see reports of social workers in the children's aid and family services that will tell people, oh, you have to let your kids learn the public school way because otherwise they'll be damaged. They'll be harmed. They won't be social. They won't. So many accusations. And these can be very intimidating, especially when we've usually all grown up with those same ideas. We've been told the same things, that you can't get a good job, you won't get a good college or university if you don't have the public school or industrial school experience. So, looking at motivation, 99.9% of the time, the motivation is fear and that they want the best for the kids. However, you will find times, especially in custody and separation and divorce, that kind of thing, where you may encounter situations where the other parent, could be either gender, may be showing signs of narcissism, gaslighting, abuse, and just trying to control the situation. And this has been a big experience for a lot of people. And if you're struggling with that, um, please know that you're not alone and that there is so much support for people who are realizing that they weren't the problem, that the spouse who was narcissistic and gaslighting and possibly trying to just create havoc, because it happens. Um, and in a situation where you are feeling alone and not super confident about your choices, but you know it's what you have to do, you know it's right, but you don't feel confident in your own abilities and your own self confidence and your own self esteem, because after being in relationships that are abusive and narcissistic, you are very fragile, but you don't have to be. Remember, I said take that deep breath and know that in your heart, you know what is right. And you have a lot of people to rely on for support. So there's support groups. If you message me, I can give you some support networks that will help you in that. And also, um, you need to take care of yourself in the best way that you can so that you can be there fully for your children and fight for what's right. Now, I need to give a disclaimer before I go any further. I'm not giving legal advice. I am not a lawyer, but I am a person who has been through 2 times custody battles, and and some very challenging situations with people who disagreed vehemently with my choices. And I've helped a lot of families as a parent advocate, helping them prepare documents, helping them in court. Um, and we've actually been able to perceive and pursue what we know is right for us as a privilege of helping um, lawyers, courts, judges, and other people we come into contact with who may not understand why we're making this choice. We can help educate them. We can help enlighten them to a different way of learning and living that they may never have thought of. And a lot of times when we approach this type of situation with love and care and confidence, that we are able to reach those people who are afraid that what we're doing is not right for our children, and help them come to a place in their heart and their mind where they can say, wow, I never thought of it that way. I would have loved to have had that opportunity myself. I probably would have turned out a lot better, and not has as many struggles as I had. But also that they wished they could have known about this earlier so that they could have given it to their children. So we have a real privilege and a genuine opportunity here to help people understand. It's not going to happen by flag waving and demanding our right to homeschool, or to challenge and and be in a confrontational situation. When people, especially people in the courts and in authority, in different walks of life, like social workers and schools and things like that, people in those areas, when we are confident, knowledgeable, and educated in what we're doing, and we have the right support networks, we show those people that they don't have to be afraid, because we aren't just doing something out of the blue that's never been done before. We're not harming our kids. We're not putting them at risk. They're not going to be behind. They are going to be able to get good jobs and get into good colleges and universities. And this is where we have to be truly thoughtful about the motives of the people that we're being challenged by. And believe me, I've been challenged by the best of them or the worst of them, depending on how you look at it. My first experience, which I'm going to relate with my oldest daughter, my first child, who was a natural academic, loved learning, and drank up everything. So she wanted flashcards when she went to bed instead of stuffed animals. She knew the alphabet letters by the time she was 2. She knew the sounds of the letters by the time she was 3. She was doing grade 4 level stuff when she was 4. And when I went to court for custody when she was 7, my former spouse demanded that she be tested because he now believed that homeschooling was not the ideal, even though he had gone along with it and agreed to it and believed in it throughout the first 7 years of her life. He now disapproved of it. So the court ordered that she be tested. And of course I was afraid. But what came from that was, in her situation at least, and you'll know your child best, right? That she was tested and came out with a grade 11 reading and comprehension level, a grade 6 writing and grammar like spelling and grammar level, and she would have been in grade 2 had she been in the public system in the industrial school. So she would have been bored to tears, basically. And a lot of kids are. I would never say that she's a genius. I say every child has, and I believe every child has their innate genius. So being able to do what she's interested, when she was interested, how she was interested, allowed her to learn things faster, retain them longer, and explain them or use them in a more practical, valuable way. So that resulted in the judge requiring that even though I didn't get sole custody, which it was at the time, we had joint shared custody. We had a 7-7 split. So she was 7 nights with me and 7 nights with him. But the court ordered that my former spouse bring our daughter to me every morning, every day, Monday to Friday, for homeschooling. He did not order her to be put in school because he could see the benefits of how she was learning. Because I brought tons of documentation and can now help other families find the documentation that they need to support what is going on in their family and why they're choosing this. Now, you're not obligated to defend yourself. You are not required to prove that what you're doing is substantially better. It depends on your situation. In my situation, it was ideal. If my daughter had been different and maybe not interested in reading or writing until she was much older, then, it would be different documentation, but I still feel I would have had the same result. So with my second child, again, going to court, I did get sole custody. And so having gone through those situations twice, I feel very confident about how to help other families regain that natural confidence that they should have and they do have deep within yourself. You have it. It's just a matter of finding it and being able to express it. Okay, so we looked at motivation. So you might have people like former spouses whose motivation is to just throw a wrench into the works. They may be totally ignorant of how natural learning occurs. And I can one of the things I do is help provide people with the information, but you can find it online. I don't need to. You can message me if you like, but you can look up benefits of home education. Dr. Peter Gray's work, especially. There's a wonderful article about how grade levels are archaic and the reasons why they're archaic, and so many, especially if you have special needs kids that need a different way of being able to progress at their optimum level. So let's talk about relatives, which is so challenging because you may be seeing them at holidays. They may be coming over and just quizzing your kids. Oh my word. My older daughter, when she was at her dad's, was tortured by her stepmom, friends, other family members, and my, that believed they didn't understand it. They didn't believe what the court had ordered. They could not wrap their brains around it. And she suffered immensely, being quizzed, when, who wants to be quizzed right now? What is, do you remember? What's the word? And it always happens at times like this. Just think, if I was being quizzed right now and I had, lost my train of thought, what would that say about me? I have 30 years of experience doing this. What's a preposition right now? We have had so much stuff thrown at us. We're only human. And as kids, they can't necessarily process things the way the way people who are quizzing them would expect them to. What do they expect? Now, sometimes I have intervened when somebody asked my or quizzed my children and inappropriately in a public situation with other people around, so they feel like they're totally on the spot. And I will ask my child to go get something or go downstairs to, put a kettle on or something to get them out of the way while I speak to the adults, basically saying, can you explain why you just did that? And try to find their motivations and explain to them that that's highly inappropriate to quiz children out of the blue, and to maybe help them if they're concerned, well, I don't think she's learning what she should learn, or I really don't think this is good for her. And then you can say something like, do you have any evidence of that? I mean, apart from trying to put her on the spot in making her feel bad, um, intimidating her. Since when has intimidation been appropriate? Um, that kind of honest conversations um, are important to have. And that's where confidence comes in. You do not need to be embarrassed or intimidated by other people. You are there to support and encourage your kids. And that may mean you speaking up respectfully for your children. So, relatives, definitely a challenging situation, but there are ways to accommodate it. Some people will say, how can I get my in-laws or my grandparent or my children's grandparents to not harass us about homeschooling, or not completely ignore us, or send inappropriate educational toys to our child because they have no clue what your child is able to do. So I've heard of workbooks being sent to families that are way beneath their children's abilities and not necessarily, even what your child is interested in. And in that situation, I would take the opportunity to say something like, thank you for your concern and for the thoughtful gift. If in the future you'd like to contribute to her journey in learning, here are the subjects that she's interested in. Here are the things that she's wanting to pursue. So perhaps a gift certificate to a museum, or an aquarium, or something that maybe you could see it in your way to buy a microscope for the child because that's what he or she is interested in, and those are big ticket items. And so if you can respond in a positive manner and show them how they can truly be part of the solution rather than part of the problem that they see as home education. So now let's look quickly, because we're down to 5 minutes, I can't believe it, at other people, social workers, school officials, and things like that. Now, particularly, I'm focused in Ontario, and I'd like to bring to your attention, if you are in Ontario and watching this, a wonderful website where unschooling um, and self directed education is uh, described fabulously. So I'm going to go and bring this up on the doing. You're providing them with an opportunity to learn about what you're doing and the world of information about it. So I am absolutely delighted to have this opportunity to talk with you. There are so many more tips and tricks and resources that I'd be interested and happy to help you with, or provide you with, or direct you to. Um, so if you have any questions, please don't hesitate in getting a hold of us. And that's pretty much it for today. I'm looking forward to next week, where we're going to be talking about the whole how do I begin? And we do this so often, but there are scads of people starting all over again, from transitioning from school to home education or independent learning. And, you know, we want to support those people, and we also want to support those who have been home educating for a long time. If you have anything you'd like to share on the show, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to have you on. But for now, it's time for me to go. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. And remember, confidence, you can have it.